Hey YouTube! So rather than having a GoPro stuck to my head, what I'm going to try and do is I'm using this light thing with my webcam basically duct taped to it. Hopefully it'll stay focused. That's my other webcam. Yeah, so this is a request from the last night's live stream. Someone says, could you just wire a strat? So, looked through my parts bit, found a strat scratch plate. Bits, 3 single coil pickups, 5-way lever switch, volume, tone, and I'll just show you how to wire it up. Pretty easy. Hopefully this is working. I wonder if I should do a wee tester. Nah, sod it. I'll just do it anyway. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what's to say? On a strat, normally you get B and A pots. I've actually got a couple of them sitting here. You can be able to see this. This one didn't fit because it's a wider thing on it. But see if you look. Oh, go on. This would be a Les Paul pot, purely because the actual shaft's a bit wider, so it doesn't actually fit through the holes in this plate. You could just enlarge the plate with a drill, make it fit a bit better. But it actually says here and there. This one says A250K in it. It's normally written in white, but this one's written in brown. So A250s are generally for single coil pickups, because 250, the low resistance will take away some of the brightness from it. A 250 single coils are generally very bright. The other most common one is a 500, which would be for humbuckers, which don't make them less bright because humbuckers aren't really that bright anyway. So generally, other people disagree, but pretty much 250s for single coils, 500s for humbuckers. I had an argument with John Carter the other day. He was adamant that it's the A ones which are alpha pots. You get A250 and B250. The Bs are the volume controls, right? Whether they're linear or not, and the tones are different. The tones use A's. John Carter's adamant it's the other way around, but every guitar I've ever, he's wrong. But I assume he was just, that's what he meant, but said it the wrong way around. But so you want betas, B250 for the volume control and A250 for the two-tone controls. This is a standard. Well, this is actually the broken one. Actually, oh shit. Okay, so this one's probably not going to work because the actual switch is crap. From a Harley Benton, I had to rip out. That's why it's got H Benton written on it. Using it for demonstration purposes only. This is actually the one I changed from a 5-way to a 3-way switch. So it's actually a 3-way, but 3-ways and 5-ways are the same. There are other types of switch. I've got a handful of ones here, of which you might find inside your Strat. These ones, plasticky 80s, 90s. I would never buy one of these. I like these ones with the circuit board on them. They're nice and easy. But as you can see, it's got the same. Well, they're all a bit gummed up, but it's got the same terminals on it. So it's got 4 and then 4. This is 4, then 4. So basically, this is the same wiring as that. You've also got this, which is another old style one. 5-way switch. You'll find in old Korean guitars, really. This one, the output is the middle, and then there's your 3 terminals there and 3 terminals there. So if you imagine comparing it to this, I'm calling this the normal import switch, they're sometimes called. If you look at it this way, so you've got pickup 1, 2, 3, and then the output. And then on the other side, you've got the output, and then pickups 1, 2, 3. So it's like 2 switches next to each other that both operate at the same time. But your basic one is you get 3 pickups and output, and then the output's in the middle. Quite often these middle 2 are joined together, or there's only one in the middle because they're both permanently joined together. And this one, there's your output. So if you imagine, there's your pickups 1, 2, 3, output, pickups 1, 2, 3, output. I would use a multimeter to find out what was actually going on in that. Another one. That's another plasticky one. This is the same principle as that. There's your output in the middle, and then your 3 pickups on one side. Yep, and then the last one is more your Oak Grigsby, which is your old style one. As you can see, there's 2 switches again. It's like this is one switch, and this is the other switch. So in this one of them's output. You can actually see by looking at it. Where's the slider? Yeah. So if you look inside it, as you see, it's connecting. So on this side, this one here is your output, and this is your pickups 1, 2, and 3. You can, if you look in there, you can actually see the wee thing connecting. This one, no, in this position, it's connecting this one, which is the output, to this one, and if you slide it around, you can see the wee metal bit moving around, touching that one, and then the same there. And the other side's a slightly different order. You can't actually see what it's doing, but it is doing the same thing. Both sides. Yeah, so they're different types of switch, but I'm all for this type. You tend to get more old-fashioned guitars and more expensive ones, and have that Grigsby type thing. I don't think they're as good. Don't need that. Right. Don't need that. That's just showing there's another type of pot. There's a B500 pot. So this would be for like a humbucker equipped guitar, volume control. As you can see, it's bigger than these. Generally, bigger's better. More is more, is what Malmsteen said. So, but these are fine, especially modern ones. If you go back to older guitars, if you bought like an old 80s or 90s Strat, sometimes the pots are just crap, whereas modern pots are really cheap and pretty much always alright. I would have no issue using small ones. That's the output jack, but not going to touch that just now. So, here's our 3 pickups. Neck, middle, bridge. Our 5-way switch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the multimeter out, which is right here. Well, to be fair, actually, I know, because I know what I'm doing here quite a lot, I know that the middle 2 terminals are your outputs, and then you get your pickups 1, 2, and 3. So this one here is the middle one. Yeah. So you've definitely got, it's either bridge, middle, neck, or neck, middle, bridge. So you know that's the middle, and you know that's the middle. So I could just connect up the middle one just now. So if I follow this cable through, the middle one is this one. So I could just fire that straight onto either side, doesn't matter, I'll stick it onto this side. So I'm just going to stick it onto that one there. I should probably trim that a little bit. I bought a special pair of nail scissors to do this. I find these quite handy things for poking in. There's too much wire on it. Not that much wire on it. That's definitely the middle one, is it? Yes, right, so that's the one there I'm going to put on. I'm going to put it on there. So this already has solder on it, but the first thing about soldering is, well, part 1 is wear jeans. I'm not wearing jeans. These are my jeans sitting here. So you give the soldering a bit of a clean. You could use a spongy thing, or a proper thing, or use your jeans like I was taught. Not doing tracky trousers on, that would just set fire to them, burn the house down. Yep, so I'm going to put solder onto the wire, like that. And then I'm going to put solder onto this. I'm really kind of just doing this as a, just out of habit, because you do need, you need to put, so if that one, that terminal there doesn't have any solder on it, so if it's already got solder on it, you're alright. And you put it on and you just go badoomph, and that's it. And you hold it for a couple of seconds, and then you give it a wee pull, make sure it fits. Fine. So that's the centre. If you look at these pickups, all these wires are like a shield and a white in the middle. I'm just putting the hot there, right? I'm going to now get now that I've committed, I've put one on, I now need to know which one of these is the bridge and which one is the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to neck position. If you get this the wrong way down, just the wrong way down. And I'm going to find out which one of these two it is by setting my thing to 20k, or it doesn't really matter. It's really just, can I put that somewhere you can see it? You can't really see it, can you? Can you see it? Put there. Yeah, reflection, bastard. Obviously this is easy when you don't have to try and balance that so you can see it. And then if I go to the output thing and then touch this one, badoo. Oh. Zero. So that is the neck position, because I've selected the switch on neck position. So this one here will be nothing. Yeah, so this is, oh, sorry, 0 is no resistance in there. And if I switch this to bridge, it'll be the other way around. So it'll be taking the output lug, putting it to there, it won't do anything, and then there you can see that's it connected. So that's the bridge one. You can see it's going to 0. If you go to the other side, see the switch is selected to bridge. There's the output. Doesn't matter which way around these go, by the way. That'll be the same as order as this. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, or neck, middle, bridge, and this side will be neck, middle, bridge as well. So if I go to the output and then go to bridge, because I've selected bridge, and then that'll be the middle, and then none of these do anything. Hopefully that didn't sound much harder. As soon as I start saying some of these things, it starts to become very difficult, and you start going, that sounds hard. It's not hard. Right, so I can't even remember what I just said. I just said that was bridge, didn't I? Yes. Right, so now if I find the bridge pickup, which is, these have all been taped together, wouldn't make a difference. Right, yeah, right, so there's your middle pickup again. That's quite a lot of wire on it, so I'm going to snip a wee bit off the end of it. And then I'm going to put a bit of solder on the end of that. I don't really need to put solder on that because there's already solder there, because this is a used switch. But good practice to don't ever try. I say this every time I ever do any soldering. Just don't bother with if you've got a wire that doesn't have solder on it, and you're trying to put it on a terminal that doesn't have solder on it, they're not going to stick. You need to put solder onto the wire and onto whatever it is you're sticking it onto at the same time. Yeah, you need to put them on. You need to put solder on it first before you try and connect it up. It doesn't really matter what the sequence of events is here. These are just tweezers are quite good for not burning my fingers. I'll just put that on there. If I was doing a customer's guitar, I would have cut these wires to length, and I can't be bothered cutting any wires to length today. Right, so that's all 3 pickups connected to the output. And as you notice, they've all got a shielding wire. So what I'm going to do with these shielding wires, because I'm not doing anything fancy, is I'm just going to twist them together and then stick them to earth. So this doesn't have solder on it, so I could that wire doesn't have solder on it, so that will never stick to the back of this pot. This pot's already covered in solder, as you can see. You have to put solder on the pot first, so I need to put solder onto this wire before I do anything. So I'll just fire lots of solder onto this, make it a big blob. Good enough, I think. And then if I just link that down onto the back of the volume pot. Yep, and that should be rock solid. Sylvester McCoy there. Yep. So that's basically the pickups on. Now what I'll do is take the output of the switch, which is this one here, batter, and then stick it to the volume pot. And the way a volume pot works is you want to earth. These lugs are numbered 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2, 3. They're 1, 2, 3. Not that matters, but this one you stick it to the back of the pot, so you can use. Sometimes you can just bend the wee bastard up. How much is that going to want to bend? No. Or you can just use a wee piece of wire to join this far right lug to earth. You can just use a piece of wire or a piece of metal or any old stuff. I'm just using bits I've got lying about, just crap really. But I'll worry about that later. Right, so output wire, again, these are just bits of wire I've got lying about. I'm not cutting them to length. So there is a wire. It's already got solder on it, I can see that. So I'll put that onto the output. And give it a pull, make sure it's solid, and this end doesn't have anything on it. As I said, I would have cut this so it was really neat and fitted in like that, but I'll reuse this wire. I don't know. I'm not this scratch plate is purely for demonstration purposes. I don't even know if the pickups worked. I haven't checked anything. I don't even know where the pickups came from. But there you go. So there's, you've got a bit of copper wire, and that will not. If I just put that on there or anything and just try to heat it up, it will not stick. You have to put solder onto the wire first. Like so. Bit of smoke coming off it. very toxic. I'm just breathing that crap in as well. I would use some sort of expel air fan or something if I was doing it all day every day, and then just solder it on there. I did say that there was already solder on that terminal, didn't I? There was already solder on that terminal. If there wasn't, I would have put solder on it. Otherwise, the two things wouldn't have joined together. So that's basically that. So now you have connected to the volume control. Right, so if I run, how many more wires am I going to need? I need to join that to that, don't I? I'm just looking for bits of crap I've got lying about. There you go. Will that do? I'll just take this bit of wire off this switch. That'll get me another piece of wire. That one, and let's go, you bastard. Right, so we've now got another. Well, this is, as you can see, is a 2-core wire. That's because I'm going to use this as the output jack. So as I was saying, now you want to join this lug to this. This is earth. This is going to the output jack, which will be like this. Whereas if you look at this, so you can see there the outside, that is where the earth goes, and this is where the signal goes. That's where the tip is. That's the bit where the hot signal is. Goes to there. You can see that this is the sleeve. So that would be, I'd be putting the black wire to that and the white wire to that if I was connecting up. On a Strat, annoyingly, you can't do that. You have to put it in the guitar because it has to go through the guitar to come out with your swimming, your boat thing. Trying to extend the video as much as possible. Strat. There's your output jack. There's a scratch plate, so the wire has to go inside the body and come out and go in here, then get connected onto the output jack. Is how that works. That might be handy to have as a reference point later. Yeah. So what I'll be doing here is connecting these two together. So what I'm doing is see that this the black wire that's going to the output jack. Doesn't matter what colour the wires are, by the way. I'm going to be sneaky. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put solder. Yep, only first thing I've lost anything, lost the solder. Yep. So I'm going to put solder onto the lug. I'm going to put solder onto the back of the pot. It's vitally important you put all this one doesn't want to see the solder's not wanting to stick. There you go. Once you heat it up, it does stick. Now it's got shiny. That middle lug there doesn't have any solder on it, so I'm going to put it on there just while I'm looking at this. Come on, bastard. Yes, right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is put solder onto this wire as well. This is I keep calling it earth or ground or black, whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder and connect using the same piece of wire, that wire to that lug. Yep. This is a crap piece of wire. Ah, for fuck's sake. Ah! Cramping. Ow! Right. You can try and put the wires through the hole. You don't need to. Right, now it's solid. So now if I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of solder on there, and I've now joined that wire to the lug, but I'm now also going to join it to the back of the pot as well. So it's acting like a sort of bridge. Like that. Right, so that's connected onto this lug and onto this, or you can bend this lug sometimes up. Is that one? Or if you look at this pot, this has obviously been a volume pot. At some point someone's put a wee bit of a guitar string to join this lug to the back of the pot, and you can see there's blobs of solder because that's how you connect wires to it. And then the center wire, the white wire, goes to the middle lug. So the middle lug is the output of the volume control. Who didn't put solder on the wire first? It's a really thin and shit wire. Just because I'm a cheap bastard, I don't want to use good wire, because wire's like, This must be coming on for 5p worth of wire I'm using here. I don't want to waste it. Badoomf. So that's that tied on there. There. So if I solder this, am I just going to do it anyway? Okay. Just imagine that this piece of wire here is much longer and is going through the body of the guitar and going onto this. So if I stick the earth onto this one here, which you can see, so I just stick that on there. Again, this is a previously used part, so it already had solder on it. If it didn't, I would have put solder on it first. That's the earth done, and then this one, is there enough wire there? It's, you know. Really, there's no point putting. Why is my left hand cramping up? Not much fun. This is so much harder when someone's watching. Assuming anyone watches. Right, so I'll put a wee bit of solder into that. That wasn't sticking because it wasn't have solder on it. Whereas now it does have solder on it. And then that one goes to there. Wait for it to melt. Solid. Right, and then this one I'll put a wee bit of solder on the end of this wire. And then put that onto this one, which doesn't have any. Again, I'm going to put solder onto the terminal. If these things are new, sometimes you want to give them a wee bit of a scratch. If you've got like a wee file or even just a Stanley blade or something, if you scratch the surface so that it can make the solder stick to it, that's always the problem people have with soldering, is not holding. That's holding. Right, so as we're sitting there, that guitar now works. You've got a volume control and a 3-way pickup. All the pickups are selected. That's it. There is an earth wire, which the reason I kept out this is it doesn't have a back on it. This yellow wire on this guitar, yes, yellow for earth, why not, is connected to the back springs. That would be another. That would be an earth, and that would, if you imagine that being this, that would run through, and you would tie that onto the back of the pot as well, the same way. That means that you get less interference. It means that when you touch the strings on the guitar, you're effectively earthing the guitar, so there's no buzz. If you don't have that earth wire, you'll find it will buzz an awful lot. You might find it will buzz an awful lot anyway if you're not touching the strings, but as soon as you touch the strings, it stops buzzing. That's normal. But you want to have that earth wire going on as well. So if that earth wire was on, bang bang, you've got a one volume with no tone controls, 3-way pickup strat. Right, so that's most of it done. The next point is a cap. The big thing I always describe as looking like a wee bit of sweet corn with legs on it. That's for the tone controls. So what a tone control does is you put the cap between earth and your signal. So what you could do if this wasn't a strat, or you only had one volume control, you could just run a line straight off. Right, I'll put the thing on first. So this time you're going for lug 1. 3, 2, 1. Lug 3, which is the one on the volume control that I had connected to the back of the pot. Not this time. This time I'm going to connect the cap to it. I might just poke that through the hole. I'll poke that through the hole. You can be much fancy with these things and I'm going to stick that on to earth in the back of the pot. As you can see, this already had solder on it because it's been used before, so. Right. Right, nice and solid. Right, so you also want to try and see the way I've just bent that up the way. If you've got it bent hanging down here like this. Sometimes when you try to put it in the guitar, the hole beneath's not big enough, so you want it kind of like that. Right, so then what I would do is I would put a wire onto this, you just ignore this lug here. You go for the middle lug. Again, this piece of wire already had solder on it, and so did the lug on the pot, so that managed to stick there. Right, so here's your tone control. Right, if you only had one tone control, you can just run this straight off either where it goes into the volume control, where the main signal goes into the volume control, or where it comes out the volume control. You could also put it on there, and that would give you a master tone control for everything. Nice and easy, right? But in this one, because it's a strat wants to have, for original strat wiring, you have a tone for the neck pickup. This is the neck pickup tone, and this is the middle pickup tone. There is no pickup. There is no tone for the bridge pickup. Yep. So what I'm doing here, putting solder onto this wire, and then I'll put these, right. So what I have neglected to do so far is, as I said before, this is the output from the switch. So these are your three inputs into the switch, and this is the output. This is a similar sort of thing, but I want these two joined together. So my way of joining these together is I could either just is there enough wire exposed to do this? I can just be a bit clever. No, there's not quite enough, is there? Why make it easy? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit more off this wire so it's a bit longer. Right. And then, as I said again, I'm going to put solder onto the wire. Like so. And then I am going to use this wire to join these two middle ones together. Yep. So now basically nothing else has been affected. It's still working exactly the same way it was, but now the output from the switch from this side as well as this side, right? So this one here, as we know, this went bridge, middle, neck. So it goes bridge, middle, neck. So this is the middle pickup. So this would go on here. So that means that the middle pickup here, when that's selected, this is selected as well, and this wire here goes to your tone pot. Right, so that's the middle pickup in. Right, so for the neck pickup, there's a couple of ways of doing this. You don't really need, you can get a second tone cap. You see that quite a lot, and you do exactly the same thing. I would connect it from basically like from the back of the pot to the far right lug, the Rees-Mogg lug, if you like. So that I could do that, and then I would run the same as this one. I would run a wire from the center to the neck position here, and that would give me my neck tone. But to save money, it's quite common to double up, both use the same cap. So what I do here is, right, if I run a piece of wire, again, have to cut a piece of wire. I mean, a lot of people are up here, oh, it's got the original Bumblebee caps and paper and oil and all. I can't tell the difference between any of them. It's doing very little. Plus, I've never really used tone controls. A lot of people love the point. These are normally 0.47 somethings. You do get the other option is 0.22s, which are apparently make a huge difference. I've got a packet of them. I've not actually tried them yet. So what I'm doing with this one is, see how what this is doing is this is going to earth. So I'm kind of, this pot is choosing how much of this signal gets sent to this. Yeah. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So instead of the cap going from there to earth, if I just put a piece of wire on there, right, and then just stick it to that other cap, it's basically doing exactly the same thing, because instead of, so if I just stick this onto the leg of the cap, the same this lug here, and then I run another cable wire. You can use like a third hand thing. You see, I'm just used to. Just try and keep my soldering iron cleaner than that. Onto the centre lug. But yeah, and then the other end again. I'll try to use varying different ways. Solder's quite good because you can kind of hold it like that. It keeps itself. These are bits where you kind of really want a third hand sometimes. Yep. Then that goes to the neck part of this switch. I think the more I talk about this, the harder it seems to be. It's really not, though. Bingo. Right. So effectively, this pot, right, controls how much of the signal you send to this cap, which is then going to earth. This wire pot here chooses how much you send to this cap. Oh, I could have put a cap in there, but if you notice, I've just gone to the edge of this cap, so they're both using the same cap. So basically, this is choosing how much signal it sends to this cap, and this is choosing how much signal it sends to this cap. So it's the same. There's no advantage to using two different tone pots, two different tone caps, unless for some reason you want a different value, just because you're awkward. Then okay, you could put a 0.22 on the neck and a 0.47 on the bridge, or on the middle, if you really wanted to. And then ideally you want to ground it all. If you look on this switch, actually does have a, it's got wee terminals there and there. See, that one's already got a blob of solder on it. You can't see because there's that bit of wires in the way. Once I move that wire, there, yeah. So you would join earth wire from there to the back of this pot, to the back of this pot, to the back of this pot, which just makes it all shielded and lovely. There is a piece of foil here, which is already joining all these together. Anyway, I will show this with using my multimeter. So you don't need to put earth wires on, because although the back of this pot isn't connected to the back of this pot, if I you will see if I do this, it'll go to 0. Yep. So that's because it's connected to this bit of foil. The same as if, if I connect it through anything metal. Or so, and you can test to see, oh, is the back of, do I need to do the back of the pot of the switch, so I can just hold it onto the back, just the casing of the switch, and onto the back of the pot. 0 again, or onto the back of the volume control. 0 again. So these are already all joined together by this piece of foil. If that piece of foil wasn't there, you do need to run a wire from the metal casing of each of the pots together, and the switch, the metal casing of the switch, and then all that goes to the output here. Because if you see, that's the output of your jack socket. This is would be the outside of your lead, so that'll be a solid connection to anything that's metal and earthed. And again, as I said, this would also connect to, if I'd put it in this guitar with this wire in the back here, it would connect. You can't, anyway, yes, okay, I can show you that in this. Right, how do I do that? If I hold this onto, well, yeah, so if I just basically stick that on in here somewhere, right, yeah. Things are difficult. Yeah, so there you go, that's now connected onto the back there. I've now got to try and turn it over without letting it go. Yep. I got along there. So that's obviously connected to the bridge. So if I touch that, you get 0. Yep. Because that's the bridge earthed. And if I go to the output jack, you can see it's 0 again. But the shield your lead. That made that an awful lot more difficult than it could be. Now, the strat's totally wired and finished now. Has been for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, so, as I said, that's all done. The only thing missing from this one, as I just said, is this wire that goes onto the trem claw, which is yellow. That yellow wire goes onto the trem claw, which goes onto the strings, which earths the whole thing. That would also be earthed against the metal piece that the output jack's on. Aye, so I mean, I made that last an awful lot longer than it should have. It's always awkward trying to do these things when you're trying to talk and do things at the same time. And obviously, like I said, this output jack, you'd have to take off the output jack, thread it through the body to come out the hole, and then put it back on again. But that's basically all you have to do to wire a Strat, and they're all wired pretty much the same. If you wanted this tone control, which is quite a common mod, to do the bridge pickup as well as the middle pickup, all you would have to do is connect. See here, where it comes. This is the middle pickup on this side of the switch. See if I just put a jumper wire between the bridge and the middle, between there and there, that would make this tone pot work for the bridge pickup as well as the middle pickup. Or if you wanted to, I don't know why you would want to do this, but if you wanted to connect the neck pickup, so that this tone did the neck in the bridge and this one did the middle, you would just jumper the neck one to there. And obviously you could do this at either end of the wire, so joining that to that is the same as joining that to that. And it's all there. Basically, the 3 pickups go into 1, 2, 3. It comes out the middle bit. That goes into the left lug, the Corbin lug, and then it comes out the middle lug. It goes to the output, and then the right, the Rees-Mogg lug, the fascist right winger goes to earth or ground if you're American, and then all the pickups go to earth as well. Earth goes to earth, earth goes to earth, earth, earth. All the earths. You don't, when the tone controls, you don't use the lug 3, the left hand lug on a tone control. You don't need to. There are other ways of doing this, which basically just make the same circuit but in a slightly different order. I've seen it, just like a jazz bass is a wee bit different than that, but the principles are just that. I mean, ultimately, to make your guitar work, right, the most basic, simple guitar, you've got your pickup, you've got 2 wires coming off the pickup. In this case, you get your shieldy one, and then you've got the white wire in the middle. See, if you just put the shieldy one to there and the white one to there, that's it. Your guitar will work. It's got 1 pickup. There's no volume control. There's no switches. It's just on, full bung, go for it. That's all it needs to be. I would also run another earth wire running from there onto the strings, like I said. I mean, on this, it's running onto the claw on the back, but if you've got like a hardtail bridge, or even that pink P bass I bought, basically it's just, there's a hole drilled in the cavity, and you take the bridge off and you poke the wire through into the hole, and the wire just kind of sits on the surface of the body of the guitar. When you put the bridge on, it squishes to the bottom of the bridge, and then that earths it that way. You do need to earth the bridge. Yeah, so I hope that was some sort of use to. It's like, we'll see how this thing goes on. This idea about talking to you there, having the mic there, and having my main webcam here, it seems to work. As I said, that was a 3-way switch. 3-way switches and 5-way switches are the same. If you look at my previous 3-way, 5-way switch thing, there's a thing you can change them in the middle. It would both work. This would be, because it's only a 3-way switch, this would be a classic, proper, real Strat wiring. So you would have, on a real Strat, like a man Strat, any modern big Jesse ones, you'd have to do the Hendrix thing. You can only pick 1 pickup at a time on this particular one. If you wanted to wedge a match in so that you could get to sit halfway between the two, you would get these 2 pickups together. That's when you hear people about wedging on the in-between sounds, that's how they did it. Basically, they just wedged it, and all a 5-way switch is a 3-way switch, but there's like a notch in it so that it's easy to wedge between the 2 positions. That's it. So that there is your position 4. Or There's your neck and middle together. It's just wedged there, so if you actually touch it, it'll click. It doesn't click into position in the middle. You have to wedge it. Or they're all there though. And then, as I said, neck tone, main tone, middle tone, volume. That's it. Maybe I'll try and do some other stuff to this. But basically that's how you get it going there. And if you're talking about replacing parts, it should be pretty easy. And like I said there with it again, I'm reiterating the same thing again. I've just been a cheaty bastard and used one tone cap for two different tone controls. Instead of having this blue wire, which connects this lug to the bottom of this same cap, I could just have put a cap in between there and there, like yon. And that would just be exactly the same as what we've got here, apart from I'm using two caps instead of one. I think that's. I can't really think in there. I think that's it. Is it? Is that it? Aye. So, see if that worked. Equipment used. You saw me use wee crappy bits of wire. When you're using wire, I bought good wire, which I can't find. It's this red stuff. It's really good. But it's connected to things. There we go. Wire that's got a bit of thingy to it. There's enough in it. It's quite a thick wire, which just makes it easier to use with. I mean, quite often you get if you look at that, there's actually a fair few strands in there, which is nice and easy to use. You do get wire that sometimes in guitars it's pure like a hair. That, I mean, it still works. It doesn't. I mean, if you think about a pickup's a really, really thin wire wrapped around a magnet anyway. So I mean, if any thicker's better. It's more expensive. That's why folk don't use it as much. Obviously, it's not more expensive if you're buying one bit of wire. It's more expensive if you're making 1 million guitars. You can probably save £100 using really thin wire, making 1 million guitars. And that's good. I've used speaker cable before. I used to have tons of speaker cable. I used to use that. I think is it 32 AWG wire. That is. It just seems to be easier to use. I even went to the point of almost colour coding it. I've got purple and I've got red. I'd really like to be able to buy a set of I've bought half a dozen bits so you can just get different colours and make it look neater. And I would also obviously, in a guitar that I was selling or I was wiring, this would be an awful lot neater. This, look how long this wire is. I would totally have snipped that there, so it was that length, and then that one the same again. I would have snipped it, there, just to make it look a bit better. It's not that confusing. It's not so much spaghetti when you see it like this, but see once you start putting other switches and stuff in, and you've got wires that are really long in there, you just like, whoa, what's going on? Whereas I would generally tend to code it a little bit. Use the red wires for the switch and then have them all instead of just putting it on like these are all just hanging loose, I would kind of have them all wrapped around each other to make them just a bit more, maybe more go for making it look something a bit more like that. You could use a wee clip or a bit of tape or something, but I would normally just, before I put this wire on, I would wrap it around that a couple of times in there. All that stuff. Rock on. How long did I manage to make that last for? No, fuck off. 45 minutes. 45 minutes. And then, for what literally took me 3 minutes to do. So there you go. So there's 3 minutes work extended into 45 minutes work. Rock on.